Plants and their food. All of us are aware of the importance of food. A wide variety of food is required to keep us healthy and to promote growth. You have also read that deficiency of food material may make us weak, unhealthy, and even ill. Carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, minerals, and fats are the components of food. These components of food are necessary for our body and are called nutrients. We depend on plants and animals for our food. Important functions of food. All living organisms, whether plants or animals, require food to carry out their normal life activities. The process of obtaining food and using it to carry out normal life processes is called nutrition. Green plants are the only organisms that are able to prepare their own food in the presence of sunlight by using materials from their surroundings. Thus, green plants produce their own food and are called autotrophic organisms or autotrophs. Rest all other organisms depend on others for food and are called heterotrophic organisms or heterotrophs. On this basis, green plants are said to have autotrophic mode of nutrition and other organisms are said to have heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition, heterotrophic nutrition. It occurs only in green plants. It occurs in all non-green plants and animals. Carbon dioxide and water are needed for the synthesis of food. They derive their food from green plants and other living organisms. Chlorophyll and sunlight are essential for the synthesis of food by the process of photosynthesis. Chlorophyll is absent and sunlight is not needed as far as synthesis of food is concerned. There are a variety of plants such as green, non-green, big, small, and very small. Let us study about the non-green plants. Nutrition in green plants. Plants are food producer. They make their own food and are called autotrophic organisms. These plants absorb water and minerals from the soil through their roots, take carbon dioxide gas from the atmosphere, and in the presence of sunlight, manufacture their own food. The food, thus made, is used by the plant for carrying out its life activities, and most of it gets stored in various parts of the plant. This process of food manufacturing in the presence of sunlight is called photosynthesis. Here is an activity showing photosynthesis occurs in presence of sunlight. Select a potted green plant and put it inside a room away from sunlight for 2 to 3 days. As you keep the plant away from the sunlight, this will not allow the leaves to perform photosynthesis. Cover one leaf of this potted plant with wide-mouthed bottle covered by black paper. Place the plant in direct sunlight for 6 to 8 hours and put some water in the plant in its roots. Now remove the 2 leaves from the plant, one that you covered by bottle and one other leaf. In the presence of your teacher, boil these leaves in alcohol to remove the chlorophyll. Test both the leaves for the presence of starch by adding a few drops of iodine solution. The leaf that was covered with the bottle does not turn blue-black. It shows the absence of starch. Whereas the other leaf will turn blue-black. It shows the presence of starch. This activity proves that photosynthesis occurs only in the presence of sunlight, and the green leaves of plants manufacture starch. Kitchen of the plants. Leaf. It is important to remember that only the green parts of the plant are capable of making food. The non-green parts do not make food. In the green parts of the plant, especially the leaves, the living cells contain a green pigment called chlorophyll in a cell organelle called chloroplast. The chlorophyll helps in trapping the energy from the sun in the making of glucose from carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide from air is taken through the tiny pores present on the surface of leaves. These pores are called stomata, and they are surrounded by guard cells which regulate their opening and closing. Oxygen is released during the process that escapes into the atmosphere and helps living organisms in respiration. The glucose is then converted into starch and passed on from the leaf to the stem down to the roots for providing food to all parts of the plant. The leaves are, therefore, the main areas of photosynthesis in all the green plants. 6CO2 plus 6H2O in sunlight in chlorophyll gives C6H12O6 glucose plus 6O2. Here is an activity that shows chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. To show that chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis, select a plant such as croton or coleus that does not have completely green leaves. The leaves of such plants are called variegated leaves, as they are not uniformly green. They have yellow or non-green patches on them. Keep the plant in sunlight for 6 to 8 hours. After watering it, perform the starch test on the leaves. Test both the leaves for the presence of starch by adding a few drops of iodine solution. The non-green part of the variegated leaf does not become blue-black on putting iodine, while the green part tests positive for starch. This shows that the given pigment chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. Plant parts that do not have chlorophyll cannot manufacture starch. Carbon dioxide plus water in sunlight in chlorophyll gives glucose plus oxygen. Types of heterotrophic animals. Heterotrophic animals are herbivores, plants and grass-eating animals; carnivores, flesh-eating animals and insect-eating animals; omnivores, those animals which can eat all kinds of food, flesh, as well as plants. The non-green plants or heterotrophic plants can be grouped as parasitic. Non-green plants that obtain their food from other green plants are called parasitic plants. The plant that provides food is called host plant. Some parasitic plants are total parasites, while others may be partial parasites. Total parasitic plants totally depend on the host plant for their food. For example, dodder plant. Its stem is yellowish-green in color and the leaves are also non-green. Partial parasitic plants have green leaves and can synthesize their food. They depend on the host for water and minerals. For example, mistletoe is a climber which spreads on trees or bushes. There are no roots of dodder plant that are in the soil. Instead, small fibrous root-like structures can be seen on the host tree coming out of the stem of climber. These root-like structures are called hostoria that help the dodder plant to absorb food material from the trunk and branches of the host tree. Mistletoe plant is a kind of semi-parasite or partial parasite because it has green leaves that make food, but the minerals in water are absorbed from the host plant by special roots called hostoria. Saprophytic. Some non-green plants live on dead and decaying plants and animals and derive their food from them. Some examples are monochrome, fungi, mushroom, and bacteria. They secrete digestive juices on dead and decaying matter. This converts the solid matter into liquid. They then absorb the nutrients from this liquid. This method of getting nutrients from dead and decaying matter is known as a saprophytic nutrition. Symbiotic. Two organisms of different kinds that live jointly and both benefit from each other are called symbiotic. For example, alga, which is an autotroph, and fungus, which is a saprophyte, live together as lichen. The fungus supplies water and minerals to the cells of alga, while the alga supplies food to the fungus. Insectivorous. Plant kingdom also has plants that consume insects to meet their nitrogen requirements. These plants grow in nitrogen-deficient soil and have special structures to trap insects. Examples: pitcher plant, Venus flytrap, sundew, and so on. Replenishing nutrients in the soil. Plants absorb mineral nutrients from the soil for their growth and development, so their amounts in the soil keep on declining. Therefore, these nutrients need to be added from time to time to enrich the soil. We can grow healthy plants only if we fulfill the nutrient requirement of the plant. Soil nutrients can be replenished by adopting these methods. By adding fertilizers. Fertilizers are the synthetic materials which are rich in plant nutrients like nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. They are added in the soil to overcome the deficiency of these essential nutrients, which otherwise are not present in the manures. By adding compost. Compost is formed when the organic wastes, such as fruits and vegetable peels, leftover food, dry leaves, and twigs are decomposed by the microorganisms. Such organic waste is called biodegradable waste. It is added in the soil to make up for the loss of nutrients and to increase the soil fertility. By growing leguminous crop. Leguminous plants like peas, beans, gram, pulses and many more have Rhizobium bacteria in their roots. These bacteria have the ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen into the plant in the usable form of nitrogen. After the harvest, the soil becomes deficient in nitrogen. Although nitrogen gas is available in plenty in the air, but plants cannot use it in the manner they can use carbon dioxide. They need nitrogen in the soluble form. The bacterium called Rhizobium can take atmospheric nitrogen and convert it in usable form. It is interesting to note that the Rhizobium bacteria and the leguminous plants are in symbiotic relationship. Since Rhizobium cannot make its own food, it lives in the nodules of the leguminous plants and enrich them with nitrogen. In return, plants provide food and shelter to the bacteria. This relation is very significant for the farmers, as they do not need to add nitrogen fertilizers to the soil in which leguminous plants are grown.